Okay, so this is the one you've all been waiting for. I know we're excited.
Yeah.
Here's what I think is going to happen. Because we're talking about this is a pretty wicked stump right here. We got a massive.
It's wicked.
Yeah, I mean look at the knot right here. You can show on the camera.
It's just a knot.
We've got a big old knot. We've got several knots in here, and what happens with wedges, a lot of wedges, is that they just get buried inside.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we'll be delightfully. You talk about being intimidated doing this on camera. It's not a given thing of striking a small wedge with the pole of a maul.
A giant heavy maul.
Yeah, and the reality of it is that when you do this, your hands are going to hurt for about a week.
Yeah.
And you're probably going to break your handle. Did you ever watch Little House on the Prairie?
Yeah. Charles Ingalls. Yeah.
Did you see the episode where what was his buddy with the beard?
The big guy.
Yeah, the big guy,
geez.
Mr. Whatever.
I can't remember his name either. Yeah.
So there was an episode, maybe you saw it, where something happened and they lost the crops and the men had to go out and seek work somewhere else.
Yeah.
So they loaded up their horses and they came across a quarry.
I do remember this one.
That?
They were breaking rock at the quarry.
So their families are depending on this job, and it's life or death for them.
Yep.
They don't have any experience. They're farmers. They're not quarrymen.
Yep.
But there is an acid test to get the job. And what you have to do, and the men back in those days in the quarries, they worked as a team. There was the driver and the holder, and they had a small rod about the size of a piece of maybe 5/8 rebar.
Yeah.
And one guy would hold the rod in his hand right here, and he would turn it. It had a special cutting bit on the end.
Oh, so that it would cut and chamfer.
He would turn it and cut and chamfer a different place. And so this combination, this pair of guys, they had to work in perfect concert together and have absolutely trust one another.
Sinking. Bing,
because one
bing,
guy's holding
bing.
it right here, and this guy is going full swing with that heavy maul and striking that inches from his hand all day long. So what happens if he hits his wrist?
That's pretty much the end of his job.
Yeah, so these the episode was so good because these guys, he asked, the foreman asked him, all right, you guys stone cutters? And like, oh yeah, they're not willing to say no, even though they've never done it before.
Don't ever say no.
It's like, okay, we're going to see. And there they are, and one of them's holding this. They've never done this before.
Oh, no.
And Charles Ingalls comes back and swings the maul, and you don't know, and it goes to commercial. But I'll never forget that because it was tense.
Oh, I bet.
It was scary because you knew that if he did that, he would break his friend's hands. He wouldn't be able to work. I mean,
neither one of them could work at that point.
Life or death. Yeah. So
because the team is done at that point.
This is not unlike that, but this is not affecting us physically. It's more pride.
Yes.
So
thank goodness for editing.
We're not going to edit it. So striking these is hard. So what I'm thinking was maybe we shouldn't use Bruticus because
Bruticus is really big.
Someone might choose it.
Oh, so that's a good idea.
So we don't damage it?
Good thinking.
All right, let me grab another one.
Yeah. Now, some of you guys are going to have different style wedges and stuff. This is, at least in my opinion, it seems like it's a little bit of a narrower wedge, which I think is going to work well initially for what we're working on. Not dissimilar to some of the smaller splitting mauls that we were using. But as far as wedges go, it does seem a little bit on the narrow side. Everything else looks to be pretty much normal as far as I can tell. And it's not super heavy to be holding, and it's not unwieldy to hold while you are initiating it.
It is beautiful. And I said it the wrong spot. We should be here start wedging.
Yeah, start from your edges.
On an edge there, not in the middle like that.
Yeah.
It will be asking to trouble. Okay, so if I break the handle that you hung for me on this one, will you put a new one on there?
Okay, this is going to be 4 videos because do you know how many places I had to go to find that handle? It was like 4 different hardware stores. It took me 2 days.
Okay, so we'll take turns here, and hopefully we hit it. Back up a little bit. Okay. You can see right here, so it is softer material. You can see all 4 strikes on there. So it's not a super hard wedge. Now wedges, you may not know that. That's not a bad thing. That's by design. Wedges are a consumable.
Yep.
It's like the hammer and the anvil. You know, you don't wear out the anvil wears out the hammers.
Yep.
The hammer's made of softer material. So you have a splitting wedge, a splitting axe, and this should last you your entire life.
Correct.
It's the wedges that are sacrificial. So don't think that that's a design flaw. It's actually the way it's supposed to be. All right.
Which in some ways is kind of good because over time it'll flatten out and mushroom out a little bit more.
Right. You all right?
Yeah, are you all right?
I'm gonna stand over here.
I can hear it cracking.
Ooh, nice. You got through it
Interesting.
there. Got that split. So that halved it. You see how stringy that Doug fir is?
Man, that is really, really stringy.
It is.
So what was that total of
That was 4 hits each.
4 each?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
And when you get better, I'm not a great wedge pounder. I don't do a lot of it. Typically what I cut is I'm able to split with them all. But you can control, I mean, once you get good at it,
Yeah.
you can control that. So if you hit it one time and it starts to pull back on you,
You can
then
adjust.
you would overstrike here, just like when you're pounding a nail.
Yeah.
You know, it starts to bend and you change a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's not a fault of the wedge. Let's see here. Yeah, that's a good wedge.
That is not bad.
That's a really good wedge. It hasn't stuck. It really pops the wood well. I wonder if the twist has something to do with that.
And getting it to help it pop.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you'd almost have to wonder, I'm sure somebody out there is going to be an engineer on this, but you have to kind of wonder that you're transferring a tremendous amount of energy through a huge chunk of steel. Now, I don't think the twist itself is what's helping separate it, but I'm wondering if it's helping to transfer the energy in a different way, because by the time that
Transferring out.
yeah, in a slightly different
What's the word? The helicoil.
helicoil, yeah,
Not
a radial,
a
in a radial way.
Yeah. As I said in the last video, my vocabulary outstrips my education. Or is it the other way around? That proves my point even more. Yeah, there you can see, right there. I like to see that. The metal is soft enough where it's starting to indent, but it's not hard enough where it's chipping off. I've had cheap Chinese-made wedges that when you hit them, pieces of metal chipped off. And I've had several people comment that they've lost eyes and had pretty serious injuries from using wedges that did that. This is malleable enough and soft enough where the likelihood of that chipping off, I think, is probably pretty slim.
Yeah, so you're talking about actual metal shards that chip away itself as opposed to just constantly disforming.
If the hardening is not correct on these, they'll fracture. And I mean,
yeah.
can you even imagine the type of force with the weight of like Bruticus there coming against this with, you know, big guys like us with, you know, hung out on that handle? I can't even imagine what the PSI must be at that point of impact.
Well, that would be a fun experiment, though.
Wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
I mean, just imagine having your finger there and just think how thick your finger would be once. I mean, it proves the point, though, doesn't it?
It's pretty much. Not gonna lie.
There you go.
Oh, you take a swing at it this time, pal. Oh. Very nice.
That's a good wedge.
That is very nicely done.
Look at that, it even got itself started in the next piece.
That was done through careful editing, by the way.
Yeah, there you go. That's like
Nice. That was nicely
that's
done.
like a piece of reinforced rebar running right through your round.
Boy, it amazes me how great that stuff smells.
You know, there's nothing like it.
That is really stupendous. That is.
And that's coming from an East Coast guy. I really appreciate that. You know, I was mentioning that some of those East Coast guys are a little elitist about their hardwoods.
Now I'm a snob.
Have you noticed that?
I'm a snob when it comes to like cherry wood. Oh man, there's nothing better than splitting and popping cherry wood is fantastic. But this Doug fir stuff is amazing. We were splitting it earlier this year, there was so much pitch and sap inside that stuff that it was literally just running out as we were splitting it open. But yeah, it's beautiful. That thing is, I really like that a lot. That's a great wedge.
That is a great wedge.